it ain't even funny anymore. I was talking to this one very attractive lady that also, if you went on her social media profile, her Instagram, you would think that she's living the most extravagant, the most lavish, the most rich lifestyle that you could ever live. So long story short, I DM her, she responds, everything's looking cool. I get her number, we start talking on the phone, FaceTiming and all that stuff. So like, we're getting really cordial. I'm getting ready to plan our first date. So after a couple days, the first date's already planned. Let's say that we started texting on Monday, our first date is on Saturday. I get a call Friday morning. I don't work on Fridays, by the way, but I get a call first thing in the morning on Friday. I'm like, interesting. Like, she never calls me this early. What's up? So I pick up the phone and I'm like, what's up? You never call me this early. Like, is everything okay with you? And she's like, yeah. Like, I'm just planning on getting a new car. Like, I know that you got a car not too long ago, so I kind of just wanted to, like, ask about, like, how much a down payment should be. Woo-de-woo. All right, cool. Next thing you know, she asks, can you help me with the down payment? I said, what do you mean? Obviously, I was gonna say no, but I was intrigued to see how insane she was. So basically, she told me that she would put $500 down out of her own pockets, and she needed me to put down the other $4,500. So the down payment was gonna be $5,000 total. Are you insane? She was like, I don't really have any money right now to put a down payment on a car, but I really need a new car very, very badly. And I thought that you would be okay with helping me with that. She proceeds to tell me how bad she's been doing in life. She said that she's been eating beef ramen, not even chicken, beef ramen for the last month. She said her car's broken down and it's not working anymore. She's late on bills, this and that, and she needed somebody to help her out. Then my head immediately goes to her Instagram profile. Last week you was in the Bahamas. The week before that you was in Puerto Rico. The week before that you was in Costa Rica. But you can't pay your bills? You can't afford a real meal? You have to eat beef ramen? So yeah, we never went on that date. That's the last day I ever talked to her. That's the last conversation we ever had. And yeah, long story short, bro, do not trust what you see on social media. That shit.
Before we get into that, is beef ramen cheaper than chicken? I'm not familiar with the pricing, but he's absolutely right. We'll get into the example in a bit, but don't believe what you see on social media. I think we understand that, but when it comes down to people's stories and their testimonials, we seem to forget that. When it comes down to you know dog walking men, we seem to forget that a lot of what is being said out here is just cap. Just cap. None of it has a kernel of truth to it, but it just sounds good. So you put it out there, especially when it's time to either show off or elicit resources from people. The amount of people that are begging on TikTok or telling their stories they're about to get evicted, or like we all know Liv's story, where you constantly getting more and more people to buy in. Listen, before we continue, like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. There's a lot here that we could talk about. First of all, I think we all understand this, the dangers of co-signing, right? For anyone's sort of loan or giving them a down payment. One thing that we as men, especially when you see someone you're really attracted to, and I've been a victim of this when, I was all of 18, 19 years old, not giving someone $4,500. I didn't have 45. I didn't see $4,500 until I was like mid 20s. But just leaning in and helping people because they're pretty, because they're attractive. That seems to be enough for us as men to say, "Oh yeah, I'll do that. I'll bend over backwards. I'll sacrifice this." And we're all, kind of suckers. And this is almost like a universal story for most men, where we've either known someone close enough where we learned the lesson without having to go through it, or we did it ourselves. We were suckers. We thought something. We thought she was special. We thought she really cared about us, and we went ahead and did it. The the danger is when you're an adult and you're still engaging in this behavior, when you're really taking resources out of your own pocket to help someone out just because they're pretty, just for the hope of being important to them. 9 times out of 10 that doesn't work. Even if you give the thing, if for example, if you gave the 4,500, that wouldn't guarantee a good relationship. In fact, that probably be detrimental. That sets the tone of where things are going. But to the other point, how social media is fake and how it causes us to misinterpret how we interact with people. We see the highlight reel. Right? It's very easy to cultivate that. It's very easy to show that listen, this is what my life looks like. This is who I am. This is what I do. This is where I live. This is my life. But you're only seeing snapshots. When you see someone, we get it. If you see a Lamborghini Miami with a guy flexing on it, the first thought is usually, now, yeah, it's rented. Fair thought, because a lot of times it is. You see the jewels. Yeah, now they're running around with diamond testers and say, okay, it's fake. We know that we have this weird, is it, I don't know if you want to call it weird, but we have the desire to show out for people doing just as poor as the rest of us. Then the ones that have actually made it, and when they want to give us advice and we don't like the sound of it, then we want to balk. We want to say, no, that can't be right. Or I don't care about that. I need it now. The advice that will work that you don't want to hear, it's going to work over 10, 15 years. When we say steady compound interest investing, paying down your debt, that's boring. That's not going to see you in the Ventador tomorrow or next week. That's not going to see you in the 911 by your birthday. Not a rented one. You can get a rented one today if you want. If you that's not a problem. But the one that you can call yours, the one that ends up in your garage. No, I mean, getting your own place, that's going to be a time tested sort of attribute. We don't like that. We want the things now. So we convince ourselves when people show it to us online, that's got to be real. It's our own hope and delusion clouding our senses. And even better when it's packaged, with a pretty woman. If you've seen her out here, I mean, I think right now most guys kind of understand that, right? There's a growing trend in seeing if you've seen her, like she's been to several other places, or Instagram's just full of vacation photos. You get what's happening. Now, caveat. I know plenty of women that pay for their own vacations that go out there that have been way more places than I have, that explore, that go back and I get intel from, like, how was that place? How was this place? What did you do here? That's amazing. And I'm completely envious of their ability to do that. It's not to say that all women who go on vacation in these places are tricking. That's not what I'm saying. Right. So shout out to y'all that actually make it happen on your own. I'm not saying that's how you get it. But we have to take what we see on social media with a grain of salt. Unless we create a space where people have to start dropping receipts, you got to stop believing that this guy at 17 years old who says he's making $100,000 a month, and here he is to sell you, the course of how to do it. You might want to start looking and saying, there's probably some falsehood going on here. It's fine for you to question. It's fine to trust but verify. That's probably how you have to be. But when it comes to relationships, when you see someone with a certain type of lifestyle and you see there's some incongruence, you really you're down bad. Either you're being finessed and you're not the only one she's about to ask for $4,500. There may be three other people asking for $4,500. She may end up buying this car straight in cash because it costs her nothing to throw it out to you. Cost her nothing. Even if she says 45 and you say you can't do that, what are most men that are in that situation who are desperate for that attention? I can do 1,500. Yeah, I'll take it. And then the next five will do that. Then there won't be there probably won't be any car that's being bought. But this is how I don't want to call it we get scammed. Sometimes we're scamming ourselves when we can't see what's obvious. We understand social media is a highlight reel or is straight up fake. Yet we ignore that, especially for a pretty face. So I know I don't gotta tell anyone here, that subscribe to this channel that, not to do that. But I think this is a good reminder that sometimes, all that glitters is definitely not gold. And whatever has the filter is definitely not even glittering. So if you got anything to add, let me know down in the comments below. You see videos on your screen, check them out. Let me know what you thought about those in those videos. And of course, if you have subscribed, join the channel. Right? Just trying to pay the rent. I'll see you in the next one.